Random thought. What's the most memorable thing that you've seen at a concert? You've been in music for a long time. I'm sure you've seen just about everything, but what's been the most memorable?
I wouldn't say just about everything because there's some things I haven't seen. Most memorable for me though had to be, and this is just personally, was going to the Velvet Rope tour, right? And I got tickets that were front row tickets, and it was amazing because Janet Jackson walked out, looked me dead in my eye, and I was like, if she picks me to get up on stage, I'm just gonna. But she didn't. But anyway, I think also Crooked Letters, right? Was the name of the group, and that's David Banner. People know about David Banner now. This is before he became the David Banner. And what they would do, and this is so very early in my radio career, they're performing at our summer show, and all of a sudden, and you don't see this from a lot of hip hop acts, which is why it just kind of stood out and why it's still right there in my mind. I can still see him right now, climbing up the scaffolding on the side of the stage, and then breathing fire, because they had this song called Firewater, which is, of course, alcohol. They got that firewater, and it was just like, it just stands out. That was just so wild and crazy, which is obviously not as crazy as some things we've seen just recently.
Well, I've thought I've seen a lot, but there's this cover band called Brass Against the Machine. They're a Rage Against the Machine cover band. And the female lead peed on the dude's face. So she called a dude up to the stage. This was a grown adult man, looked like he's in his 30s. He laid down on the stage. She pulls her underwear and pants down and leans over and is singing. I forget the name of the song that she was singing, and just pisses all over this dude's face. And he is just loving every bit of it. And I'm watching this. I'm like, how is this a thing? And then after this nice young man laid down and was peed on, she berated him and threw him off the stage. And security threw him off the stage.
Wait,
what the hell is going on in music?
First of all, the fact that you said this nice young man, there was nothing nice about that man who came up there with a beer can stuck to his forehead, laid down, and then took the beer can off and decided to open his mouth while she peed all over his face. Because you could see him spitting it out like he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, in WWE up on the ring apron, spitting it out like, what the hell is going on here? I just want to know, was it more impressive that she just peed all over his face, or the fact that she kept singing while peeing and did not stop midstream anyway?
It's exactly. It was the fact that she was still performing, hitting those hard notes, and peed, and then got up and they just kept on performing. And I guess the band, said at the end, they apologized that, she got a little out of control, but you've seen the video. I think they knew that was about to happen.
I was about to say, which was more sickening? Her peeing on this dude, or the band pretending like this is the first time she's ever done it? Because you see the guy right behind on the horns, he's moving the equipment out of the way. He knows what's coming. And not one of them stopped playing.
Exactly. Because I get the show must go on. But as they say, all press is good press, right? So I'd never heard of this group. Millions of people had never heard of this group until now. So it worked. And luckily, I will give her credit. I think her name is Sydney. She cleaned up the piss off the floor, off the stage at the end of the night. The crew from the venue, they didn't have to do it. They said Lysol and paper towels. She cleaned it all up.
Well, I mean, there's certain things roadies, it's not in the roadie contract. Cleaning up pee on the stage is not in there. Come to find out, she was a contestant on The Voice at one point in time. The thing about this is like, this is going to be big because those who are into this kind of stuff are going to show up at their next shows. So you're right. This is the most exposure they've gotten ever. Never heard of him before. Didn't even know about her on The Voice because I never watched The Voice. But the other thing about this too is I saw this in a lot of the comment sections. Like, now had that been a man, how would people view this? They would have arrested that man for peeing on a woman, even if she laid there and went, spray it on me, honey, and did the whole spitting it out and all that stuff.
That's a good question, because I think it depends on what man it is.
So Ed Sheeran.
I'm just saying. Yeah, it's like if Ed Sheeran pees on some 18-year-old legal on stage, baby, I will be loving you. But she's 18. I don't think people would freak out. Now, if Mick Jagger's old ass pees on somebody,
She's gonna get worms.
then people might have some issue with it because it's weird. So I don't know.
Would it be weird that Mick Jagger did it, or weird because his pee probably comes out like powder?
It's like it was just 3 drops on her forehead. What's the big deal?
It was just the LeBron right before the basketball game. Are we really mad at that?
Yeah, it's just four drops. That's all I can get out at this age. 4 drops, and we're really upset.
Oh my God, where's the show gonna go from here? Welcome to the shit show. I'm Yanni Root.
Yeah. And I'm just Terrell. You ever been out somewhere and overheard 2 people having crazy conversations?
Oh my God. Hopefully not like this one. We are those people, and we've been having these conversations since college.
Yes, it's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts Podcast, episode 63. Be sure to like, subscribe, and definitely leave a comment.
Yo, I think we definitely know what the name of this episode is going to be. Piss Poor Performance. Couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect. That is perfect. That just blows my mind. I just watched the video and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And then it's like, here's the thing that it wasn't so much the shock of she's doing it. Mm-hmm. As a guy, when we pee, it's just like a straight stream, right? I've never seen a girl pee before. I'm 47 years old. This is my first time seeing it. And
that's what guys are really intrigued by.
Well, you know, like the faucet on the side of your house, when you turn it on, just the way that flowed. That's what it looked like that she was doing. I was like,
perfect example, because it's so the woman is the faucet, the guy is the hose.
Yeah.
Welcome to the ABCs.
Yeah, I learned something this weekend. Let's just say that. I learned something this weekend.
Look,
I thought women just had a straight little stream.
Nope. Now you know why they have to sit when they pee. You imagine?
Well, yeah.
They talk about us peeing on the toilet seat. Shit. All right, you peed on the bathroom walls again, baby.
It was just funny. I was just like, God, that's like a faucet. Look at that. She has a gusher. That's crazy. I did not know that. I'm just
honey, we've got to change the shower curtains again. You peed all over them again. God damn.
Oh, wow. So, educational weekend.
How do we go from this to another topic? I mean, seriously. That was unbelievable. Just as, this whole thing with Kyle Rittenhouse has been pretty unbelievable. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I don't think you or I, neither of us, were surprised by the outcome here.
No, not at all. I think as soon as the judge said that they couldn't be called, the victims could not be called victims, had to be called rioters or whatever, I was like, okay, we see where this is going. That whole story I go back to who lets a 17-year-old, what parent drives their 17-year-old across state lines with a gun to go out there into that
with period. An AR-15. That is the only thing that's different between the AR-15 and the M16 is the fact that it's not fully automatic. That's the only difference.
Yeah, and then watching him cry in the deal with like no tears, but it was so funny. I laughed at him when I saw him on the stand. He's just like, it looked like he's looking out the corner of his eye like, are they buying this shit?
Yeah.
Are they buying this shit? I'm like, stop it. Just stop it.
The bad thing about this is because, prior to him even going on trial, he'd go into bars and people would big him up like he's a hero. And what you've created is this monster, right? And this monster that they've let out and let back out into the world. What is, that guy who was acting up in the club and then security doesn't kick him out? And he feels he's invincible in the club now? Mm-hmm. That's this guy with an assault rifle now. because he feels he can carry it everywhere, do what, because he did this illegally crossed state lines and gets nothing. And I blame the prosecution for not even charging him with that. He should have been charged with a number of things. They could have caught him on something, right? But again, you're not surprised. I'm not surprised. The judge was so biased, it was ridiculous. The judge was like a third or fourth defendant in their defense attorney in there. It's just as bad as this Ahmaud Arbery, his killer's trial, because here's the difference. When this comes out, and it finally and we find out they're let off or they get a slap on the wrist, we're not going to be surprised again, because this was, what was the jury? 11 white jurors, 1 black,
and 1 black juror. Yep.
But then again, you're supposed to be judged by a jury of your peers, right? So, their peers would be white men and probably racist. So if that's what's on the jury, that.
Well, I learned that it's a part of the process, right? And so this is, I think this is not so much a racism deal.
Right.
Let me just start that. It's a part of the process where when you're doing jury selection, prosecutors are trying to find people who would obviously lean more towards their person. So in this case, you're going to try to find a lot less minorities, and you're going to find probably some good hardcore conservatives. The defense is trying to excuse people as well. And so it's like a strategy that you do, and this is what it landed up with. So, but even though it landed this way, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, well, yeah, they're going to get off.
And I learned this strategy from reading John Grisham books. So, I did a lot of research on this. I love all his books. So I learned that strategy then. So I kind of knew that part of it, but still, the fact that they were able to end up, like, how bad was the prosecution? And how bad was the jury pool that they were able to get? This is what we'd like. Ideally, this is exactly what we want our jury to look like. Oh, we got it.
Yeah. Ow. And you could tell that the defense is, they were upset that Al Sharpton showed up. Now, here was a funny thing. I don't know if you watched that whole deal. The attorney didn't even know Al Sharpton was there until later on someone told him that he was there. And he was in the back. He wasn't sitting up in the front. He was just sitting with the family. So his issue was trying to get the judge to kind of regulate who can come in. And pretty much, we don't need any more black pastors, or just say more black people coming into this deal. But no one even recognized, even saw that was Al Sharpton. There was no camera crew, nothing. He didn't make a speech. He was just sitting there. But he said, we don't need any more black pastors. I'm sure he meant black bastards, but he said black pastors.
Your Honor, Your Honor, we fought so hard to get this jury that we wanted. This jury that we knew would let these fine, good old boys off with a mere smidgen of the wrist. Not even a slap of the wrist, but a smidgen of the wrist. We don't need any of these black bastards showing up here to sit down with the black ass family.
Yeah. And mess up what we put together.
Here's the thing. And this is how you know that this thing is already rigged. This game is rigged. Because the attorney felt comfortable enough to come out of his mouth and say something so blatantly racist and biased that he was like, this is what we say. This is what we do. This is how we hang out and talk after we're done here. He was fine saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the world we're in right now. So there's no point in saying we shall see. Now, what I do hope is that regardless of either one of these trials, that there's not a whole lot of civil unrest and people tearing up. We'll need to go back to that in 2020, where people tearing up the streets and tearing up their own neighborhoods, over this. We can't do that.
Let's be fair here. Nobody was talking about doing that before. The media overhypes this, right? And this is the part where we really got to stop this nonsense. And then the city will go and bring all this police in here to agitate and stand there and agitate. And let's not act like this is not the case. Because even when you go back and look at after the George Floyd killing, what happened in a lot of these cities, because I was in Cleveland. And I know what these buildings look like. I was in the city, right? And what you're looking at, how is a police car burning that is perfectly parked in the middle of the street, so that while it's on fire, there's no way it catches in one of the adjoining buildings on fire, right? It's not even parked sideways to block the road. It's just literally parked in the middle of the street, right down the yellow lines. How? And then you've seen the different people who've been out here, like the guy that was breaking windows. The people are trying to tell him, "Hey, no, stop." And knowing the people who organized a lot of the marches and watched all that stuff that happened on the courthouse in Cleveland, I know the people who actually were organizing the march that went that way and came back, and they kept going. But it's these small groups that do that stuff.
That's exactly what I'm saying, though. I'm not blaming, all the people who are marching and protesting that caused the problem. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is it opens up for those other agitators to come in, act like they're a part of whatever group, mm-hmm. wear their ski masks and cover themselves up and break stuff, create fires, mm-hmm. to to prove a narrative.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. We got to avoid having that, mm-hmm. And help control our own streets. If we start seeing people doing that, let them know, hey, nope, that's not what we're doing here. Let's stop that. And break it up. It's cool to protest, march. I think all those things are great. But when you have other agitators that come in and influence negatively the intentions of the group, mm-hmm. or they're trying to help create a media narrative by mm-hmm. acting like they're part of the group when they're really not. All those things just need to stop.
And not even just those hidden undercover agents, but also business owners. I've seen. This is so bad that it showed up, that it was caught on camera. I know he was like, God damn it. But there was a business owner in Columbus, Ohio, when they had their issues down there, that he's like, here, throw it through this window.
So you can get some insurance money.
And purposely trying to hand it to black kids to have them throw it through. And we just got to be smarter. Don't follow along what these other people are trying to do to lead you down that path. Because you know what? Let's be honest. They get to walk off scot-free. Kyle Rittenhouse gets to walk off scot-free for a reason. And it ain't because mm-hmm. he was right.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens in the Ahmaud Arbery case, but you know where I think it's going to go.
Yeah, exactly. Same place I think the Texas Senate race is going to go.
It's scary every day being a Texan. Not only do we got to worry about everybody walking around with guns and women's rights, but we still got Ted Cruz mm-hmm. In office. And we have a chance in about a year to see if we can make that change. And so people need to pay attention and remember Snowpocalypse, remember all the different things that he didn't do, all the lies. I mean, to hell, just last week we talked about him going after Big Bird. I mean, that's just enough right there to say this dude is psycho and we need to vote him out.
But what you're forgetting is that he's talking to other psychos. So therefore, he's speaking their language. I keep telling you. I mean, I love the fact that you do this every week, and you have not skipped a beat. You have not skipped a week. You have constantly come on and each week pushing out that narrative and letting people know, guys, mobilize. Make sure you register to vote. Make sure you do vote. Don't just register. Make sure you go out and vote. And let's vote Herman Monster, Grandpa Monster, out of the Senate. But unfortunately, Texas is going to Texas. Texas is going to Florida. Texas is going to flex us. And Senator Ted Cruz will be senator once again.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, it does not look good for Democrats going into 2022. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who they're going to have in 2024 because, originally I thought, okay, Biden gets in and then probably it'll be Harris on the ticket.
Yeah.
But after some of the bad press Harris has been getting, but also what is Kamala Harris doing? There's just a whole lot of questions with this administration that I'm scared about what we're going to get in 2024.
You know what's so funny to me is that all it takes is one person to start a narrative and that shit just grows, right? One person started, well, where is she? We haven't seen her since, well, actually you have. She's She's doing what she needs to do, which is not be in the forefront, because she's the vice president. She's not the president. That's the president's job. When Barack Obama was the president, Joe Biden wasn't rubbing shoulders out front. He was trying to do it in the background. Okay, so understand the differences. And only place you saw that really was Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was basically president when George Bush was president, because he did a lot of this stuff and he ran a lot of it. But he was more in the forefront than what a vice president should be. You didn't even know that Al Gore was there when Bill Clinton was president. You know what I mean?
True, but here's where I disagree with you. When Barack ran in 2008, he was the first black president. And still was the first black president. So no matter what Joe Biden did, he was not going to overshadow that, because that was the focus of everything that Barack did as the first African-American president.
Now, that was the media focus, but go ahead.
That was a lot of our focus. I mean, it was a lot of people's focus, not just the media. That was a lot of people's focus. You know, for a lot of black people, it was great for us to see that this is possible and to see what he was doing. Because we used to always say before 2008, there was never going to be a black president. And then for the people who are anti-Barack, whether it be his policies or the color of his skin, they were also kept talking about it.
Yeah, of course.
So in the 2020 election, what was the key highlights that when we got down to Biden and Harris on the ticket, what was the thing that campaign pushed out a whole lot of? About breaking the ceiling for first woman vice president of color, and all these things about all these barriers, which is great, right? And I think that was awesome. A lot of people really loved it. The speech that they gave when they did their acceptance speech, it was phenomenal. But what you got to do, if that's going to be your push to get people to vote for you, you got to also share what she's doing. I'm not saying she's just at home chilling. You know, I'm not saying, I know she's working. I know the role of the vice president is to play behind the scenes, but this is what you sold. And so you have to help people see this is what she's doing, because that's my problem with it. Again, I have some issues with every administration, so it doesn't matter where I lean. But that's my frustration. What I'm seeing in this administration, the pandemic is the number one thing we got to be talking about. I totally get that, and Biden's pushing for that. The infrastructure bill, got it, right? But you sold a narrative to the people about what this woman is doing, but yet there's no one on your side telling her story, that it creates somebody else to make up a narrative for people to ask a lot of questions when you should be pumping that out. Okay,
that's a good point. I will say though that I've always hated when that shouldn't be the reason that you're voting for somebody, because they could be the first woman. Now, what is she going to do when she's in there, right? Because he could be the first black president. I used to tell people all the time on air, at least know one reason why you're voting for him other than the fact that he's black. Stop it. Because then you're going to be mad when somebody go, well, I'm voting for him. I'm voting against him because he's black. Don't be the only reason is to break the barrier. What is he doing? Even if you just say, well, I want my kids to have free college education. Great. One thing that he says, he gave the same speech 500 times on that. You know it by heart. He's come with one thing. And the same thing, the Democrats have been really bad at pushing their messaging out anyway. I see them now. I saw a commercial just last night, right? And it let me know that it looks like Biden is looking to run for re-election, right? And it was on this passing the infrastructure bill, because it's passed. It's but now that here's what he's done. Here's what we're going to do. Build back America, or build back together. I think it was the thing. So buildbacktogether.org. And you see this and they go, they're starting campaigning already, because that's what you do. When you get into the White House the first time, you've got 2 years to get shit together, and then the next 2 to campaign for re-election. That's it. So you really don't get anything done till your second term anyway. So you see them doing this, and this is what we're going to push forward, which is good. Finally, they're understanding how messaging works. Unfortunately, you're still a little late, because the Republicans have been blasting theirs for so long, which is why Ted Cruz keeps doing the dumb shit he's doing down there in Texas over and over again, because he is speaking to the people that he needs to vote for him. And that's why, as much as you're going and as much as you're pushing for it, Texas is going to Texas is going to flex this, because that's what they do.
I still believe. I'm keeping hope alive. Speaking of hope, so I try not to pay a lot of attention to what a lot of celebrities do. I sometimes just catch a headline, and I see that Pete Davidson is dating Kim Kardashian now, and I'm just like, I
don't believe it.
What is it? And it reminded me. Remember that movie by Patrick Dempsey? I think in the maybe late 80s, early 90s. Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't Buy Me
Where
Love. Then
was just kind of,
Nick Cannon redid it with Christina Milian. Love Don't Cost a Thing.
yeah. So you get this kid that, kind of nerdy, no game, pays a very, attractive, popular girl to start dating him. And now because he's dating her, all these other women are like, oh, I guess so-and-so's hot now. I think that's what happened to Pete Davidson. Not that he paid for it. And he's not that, he's funny, but not like, I wouldn't go see him in concert.
No.
Or anything like that. But like I see some of the sketch he does on SNL. I mean, he's very creative.
Sometimes.
But ever since, and I don't really know who he dated before
Ariana Grande, yeah.
Before her. I don't know all the people he's dated to work up to that. But I think once he reached that status, that's when every other woman and celebrity is like, oh, Pete Davidson is hot. And now he's just pulling anything. I'm like, that's the secret, guys. That is the secret. If you don't have money, all you got to do is your goal is to get one very attractive, hot girl. And it could be a friend. You can go on a photo shoot and make it seem like y'all dated for 4 or 5 months. Put those pictures on your social media. And then when other women start stalking you because they see you on Tinder or whatever, and they try to look at who you dated, make sure those pictures are public. And they can be like, oh, shoot, he liked me and he's been dating girls like that. He must be great. That's how you win. Why didn't I try doing this in my 20s? Well, there was no social media in my 20s, but that's a good reason. There was nothing I could do. But I'm just saying, like, that's the secret right there. If you're not rich and you really want to get someone very beautiful, or up, level up the caliber of the women that you've been getting, find somebody. It could be a friend. Go do a photo shoot and make it look like y'all dated for 3 months and it just didn't work out. And put that on your social media. You'll level up.
Is that what you're thinking is happening here with Kim K? Are you saying that's because what he did with Ariana now he's because I asked that for this one simple reason. I don't think Kim Kardashian is that attractive. She's not attractive to me at all. I think
I saw the sex tape and I just lost interest after that.
Yeah. That was like watching the Black China sex tape. That was like, you used to do what? I don't believe you. I do not believe you. But I mean, I will say this though, because you've got to understand the power of the Kardashians, right? Especially Kim Kardashian. If Kim just tweeted once about our podcast, we'd both quit our jobs. Because that's the power that she has. So for him, this is going to be good for him. Whether they're really dating or not, it's going to be good for him because his star has just risen. The fact that they're this. Now, if they've really found love, kudos.
I'm not knocking their relationship. So if Kim, if you ever, if you thought about sharing us with your followers, but you heard me make that comment, that's not negative towards you. I'm not mad at you. I just said that I saw the sex tape, and after that, I just kind of wasn't interested. But I think you've done a lot for women and done a lot in the community, blah, 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 blah. But the whole message, the moral of the story was, the whole moral of the story was, you got to do what Pete did. Find you an Ariana Grande. And then it'll help you level up the other women that you get after that.
The backslide was amazing. That was an amazing moonwalk you just did. You don't have to worry. Kim is not even going to know that we exist, okay? She has no idea we're here. So she's not even going to know to tweet about this or post and do an IG story or anything about it. She has no idea we're here.
just in case, one of her followers might all of a sudden see us and be like, this is hilarious, and share it, and eventually it could get there. And I just want to say, hey, Kim, no hard feelings.
Like, Kim, you won't believe what this motherfucker said about you.
Yeah, no. I just had no issue at all. I just said, I saw the tape and I lost interest. Just, damn, Ray J. It was just terrible. Like, once I heard her say, damn, Ray J over and over, I was like, I can't. That's all when I see her, that's all I picture. Damn, Ray J.
Speaking of some bullshit, man, I saw this story, and the headline alone just really kind of got me. It says, students sue school after being punished for starting pro-slavery petition. Now, let's dissect the story a little bit. First of all, they won't say what the punishment was, right? They just said that basically they can't share specifics on any particular student's discipline, but I can tell you that we follow our board policy when disciplining students, and that's what the superintendent did, right? So this happened in Park High School District, right, in Missouri. So I think this is around where Kansas City is.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Kansas City School. I lived in Kansas City, so I could see it.
So here's what happened, right? There are 4 students that started this petition. They're on a bus ride on their way to a football game, and one student who's biracial, another one who is black. They were having playful banter about jobs and slavery. And as the quote-unquote playful banter continued, one student started to create a Start Slavery Again petition on change.org. And the other student encouraged him to post it online. And then by the end of the football game, more than a dozen students had already interacted with the petition, with one student saying, "I love slavery," and another student saying, "I hate blacks." You like the voices I added to this, right? This comes from reading. This comes from reading to my daughter. You got to change your voices. You do different people. But here's what's even worse.
Do you make white people sound so evil when you're reading to your daughter?
Yes. Here, little girl, want some candy? Exactly how I do it. So the attorney for these students said 14-year-olds sometimes unwisely shoot their mouths off, instantly regretting it, but causing no harm, no disruption. But here it was adults who unwisely overreacted, causing disruptions, and they're now trying to strip these boys of their entire 9th grades. So he thinks this is all. This reminds me of when Trump said, "Grab him by the pussy." They go, "Oh, that's just locker room talk. Let's start slavery again." Oh, that's just kids being kids. Really?
Okay, here's the difference for me. I read this story, and if this was a group of white kids, I'd have a different mindset, and I think a lot of the media would too. However, you got a biracial kid who started it, and a bunch of the other black students, all football players, and joke or not, what the hell are you thinking? And so for the biracial student, maybe half of him triggered something, and
Shit, not half triggered. But go ahead. Please continue.
He got half triggered, and whatever did this, right? And so that's what's interesting. But the thing that makes me laugh is they're suing the school district for a civil rights violation, just civil rights violation for them trying to put up a petition to bring slavery back. It's just so much wrapped up in that that I just find it crazy. Like I said, if this was a whole bunch of white students at a predominantly white prep school, I think the media and everybody would have a whole different outlook about it. I look at this like, what are you dumb kids doing? And I wonder, my question is this: for any students doing this, is stupid. For the biracial student, because remember we talked about this in one of our episodes, that I feel like when kids are mixed, in a way they are either hardcore, fist in the air, they go complete opposite, or they're in that middle where they struggle with who do I align with sometimes, depending on certain situations. In this case, I wonder which parent is which, and if they're both involved. Because I've dated all kinds of women, right? And if I had a biracial son that did something like this, I'd beat the shit out of him. I don't even like beating kids. I don't think you should. But in this case, because he would have to get punched.
Thank God you don't have kids right now, because they'd be showing up at your door right now. Child services would be at your door.
Yeah, if I had a son that did this and put a petition together to bring slavery back, yeah, that kid needs to get punched in the mouth.
Let me show you what slavery's like.
Old
son.
school. I'd go old school. Yeah, you want to see what slavery's like? You know what? Your name's not Terrell Jr., man. It's Toby.
Oh, you thought you'd be in the house, huh? You thought you were safe in the house.
Get outside.
You put your ass in the field. You sleep outside. You tell me how that shit is now. Is it still funny? Ha ha ha.
Yeah, here's some pig feet. Make something with it.
To me, it's where you open up the doors for so many other people to jump back in through that, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same. We go through this all the time with the one word that white people want to say it, but they're not supposed to. So they say it in private when they're in the cars and singing along to the music. But at the same time, who's creating the music? And you know who's buying it. Because when you go to the concert and you're on that stage as an artist and you're saying sing along and you cut down and everybody's singing it along, you know it's not the five black people in the crowd that say that you could hear them. You still can't hear them. How are we the minority on our own show?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That kid throat punch.
So if you don't see Terrell here next week, it's because the Minority Report, Tom Cruise and the Minority Report have come to arrest him for the crimes against his kids that he doesn't even have yet. Oh, shit.
Well, this Thanksgiving, right? And one of my favorite holiday because it's just food and fellowship. You know, you already know how I feel about Christmas. If you listened to the episode last week, Thanksgiving is my jam. But you brought up a pretty cool feel-good story about this Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and it's so I remember hearing about this a while back. And you've been obviously keeping up with this a lot more than I have, but it's about the grandma who texted the wrong teen. But they're keeping this tradition going. They have been, because this is their 6th year, right? And it was her sending a message to him, and they're like, "Who's this?" And grandma, can I have a picture? And then she sends a picture, and it's like, "Yeah, definitely not my grandma," but. But because of that little mix-up, they ended up, it turned into a great story, and I love that. The fact that, and let's be honest, America loves when a white woman and a young black man can get along and not fight. They love that story, and that's the case in this one. I think to me, it's just about, it doesn't matter what race either one was. It's just the fact that grandma, who was innocently texting one of her grandkids, but it wasn't her grandkids. And then they still decided, both of them, because these are they're separated by a whole nother generation, and they still kept that relationship. Like, you know what? Because of this, let's do this. And they kept doing it. And 6 years later, they still are. And I'm sure 6 years from now, they'll be doing it too.
Oh, I think it's a cool story. I think it just shows just the natural kindness that some people have that's missing a lot of times in the world, right? And what's great about this story, it's just that. It's just, hey, oops, I texted the wrong person, but hey, I did send the invite. You don't have any plans. Why don't you come over?
Yeah.
And, and they do that, and they did it every year. It's not like she got him to come over. Now it's like The Blind Side. She's trying to motivate him to play football and go into the NFL.
Strong side.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong movie. Never mind.
Yeah, there's nothing about that. It's just, hey, I texted the wrong person, but if you don't have anything to do for Thanksgiving and you want something to eat, come on over. And apparently, obviously that worked out well, because if he had a family, and I don't really remember the story, but I think that he either didn't have a lot of family or something, and that's why he was free. But the fact that they've been doing this every year and the media is keeping an eye on it, I think it's great. I think we need a lot more of these feel-good stories in our world. And
the fact is that when you look at the text, right, and it just says, "You're not my grandma. Can I still get a plate though?" Because that was just a line that because to be quite honest, either you or I would have even done that same line. Can I still get a plate though? Just as a joke.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Of course you can. That's what grandmas do. Feed everyone. Come on." And the fact that from there they actually continued, I think, is so amazing. So that to me is what makes it that great.
Yeah. No. I love that, and I like how she even said losing him would be like losing a best friend. Wow. So they've just built a really good, true friendship out of the deal. So I think it's a great story. Look forward to seeing more about them every Thanksgiving, because this one always comes out.
Yeah,
around this time every year.
Well, you said this is one of your favorite food, fellowship. Enjoy Thanksgiving. For me, it's always about just family, because I didn't grow up on Thanksgiving. So, I've spent more time in the States now over the years than I did growing up without Thanksgiving. But it's still, this whole feast till you can't eat anymore kind of thing. Yeah, I just never been. And steal the land from the people who are already here. But, whatever. We won't get in. We'll leave that alone. Yeah. All right. Thanksgiving
American
from the
way.
Indian side is not the same. It's a whole different story. I'll take the day off though and spend it with my family. How about that?
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I think we'll have one more episode, at least a Married at First Sight recap.
Yep, we do have
before Thanksgiving.
Yep, because that's going to be Wednesday, so that episode is actually airing. So we'll do a recap, and because you're actually traveling that day too, so it's just going to be an interesting.
No,
one.
the following week. The following week is when I'm traveling.
Oh, okay. Oh well, that's okay. So we're good then. Yeah. So
yeah.
So we'll be good on this one. We'll be here Wednesday night. Don't forget we do drop our audio on Monday, video on Tuesday, and the Married at First Sight recaps Wednesday for as long as it goes until the new season comes in January. Oh, he loves it. I'm Yanni Rude.
And I'm Just Terrell.
And make sure you follow us at Yanni Rude, at Just Terrell, and at RGRT Pod.
Yeah, send us some of your random thoughts or some of your bullshit. We'll talk about it on the show.
It's a Regular Guys Random Thoughts podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.
Water for everybody.